Good morning and welcome back to another edition of Morning Java, brought to you by our friends at the GetGo Cafe+Market, where, Alex, you went there last week in the midst of your Christmas shopping, and you said you got the zucchini sticks or the zucchini fries, and they were gone before you even got home. They're that good.
See, I had two drafts of that tweet. It was either the zucchini sticks or giving the true reveal of I got a hot chocolate and zucchini sticks, and I guess it's not like a natural pairing, but I got it anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a natural pairing for you.
Yeah,
you're just naturally odd. So, Alex, I would ask you how your Christmas went, but I first want to ask you how your Christmas Eve went, as you were pretty busy. The Pirates take the baseball world by storm. There's always that one news dump trade that happens every year on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and the Pirates volunteered as tribute this year, trading away Josh Bell to the Washington Nationals. A lot to discuss in this. There's been a lot written about it on this site. Alex, my first question for you on this was, Josh Bell traded away too early? Did they get max value for him?
If anything, I think they traded him too late. The way to do it would have been the last year.
Yeah.
Whenever he's coming off of the All-Star campaign, and there are still concerns with the glove, but he has 3 years of control. But there really weren't a whole lot of teams that were buying first baseman then, and there weren't a whole lot of teams buying first baseman this offseason. The Nationals were the team that had the most obvious need. So, yeah, it stinks in that regard. But here's the deal. Josh Bell in his career has been worth 3.5 WAR, and 2.3 of that came in those first 2 months of 2019. Besides that, he has been a very below average player once you consider his defense base running into the equation. He just didn't have a lot of trade value, and if anything, if they would have hung on to him and they traded him at the deadline, they might have been able to get a little more, but it also could have just absolutely cratered, like if he stunk again.
And that's my mentality on all of this is the Pirates have always operated on, well, best case scenario, this could go right. That's what they did under the last regime with pretty much every move that Huntington made and how they approached every offseason. And, if we win 88 games and other teams get hurt, we could sneak in as a wild card team and stuff like that. That mentality does not work. So just hoping that Josh Bell does well, that was a rhyme, and you're going to be able to trade him, that's a great thought. But like you said, the inverse is he continues to struggle, and then you don't get really anything for him. You have a Polanco situation unfolding, again, at first base, and you don't want that. You take what you can get. I think it was a good move. I mean, we'll see how these guys play out, Crow and Yeen. Crow obviously isn't the feature of this deal. It's Yeen. And this is, again, kind of like what you've talked about with the Marte deal, where they're getting guys who are super young, show some promise, and it's really all about the Pirates saying, we're focusing on development. All right, ball's in your court. You have a raw talent. This kid's put on 50 pounds of muscle. He throws 97 at 19 years old. Make him a star.
Yeah, and he's on the upswing. That's the other part, too. Like in the Marte trade, whatever they got, Peguera's like, all right, this guy's real good. This year, we're going to probably see him on top 100 prospect lists.
Yeah.
That type. Get the guy who you're trusting the development, the young, but go on the upswing. Will Crow, he's going to be major league depth this year, and I think it kind of just puts into perspective like, hey, one of these starters, at least one, is going to get traded before spring training gets here.
So as we wrap this up, you kind of wrote about this already, but what is Josh Bell's best moment as a Pirate, Alex?
I mean, the grand slam in his second at bat, it's tough to top that, but just for the sake of variety, I'll say him going over the batter's eye, because I have never seen a baseball player do that.
I would say that, or just that month of May, there were so many memorable home runs he hit. The ones in the river and back-to-back, or not back-to-back, was it back-to-back games, or it was in the same month, I know. And then I remember they had a series in Arizona where he was just hitting them like a mile long, just that month. And personally, getting to cover him, the first All-Star game I got to cover was in 2019 with him being in the home run derby and everything. That month of May, he'll be remembered for that, and I wish him the best of luck. A really good guy. So, Alex, as we wrap up a year full of craziness, it's only fitting that possibly the last Pirates news story of 2020 is something that we are all too familiar with. It's a Gregory Polanco injury. He breaks his wrist, and was it sliding? Did I see that?
We haven't been told how
okay.
it happened.
All right. So we don't know how it happened, but he fractures his wrist. He's going to miss the entire postseason for the Dominican Winter League. And The Pirates tell us that he will be ready for spring training. I want to ask you this. When you get injured this often, playing the sport that you've grown up playing, is it really still bad luck? Or are we just looking at someone who just has a pattern of not being able to stay healthy and maybe this game just isn't for him anymore?
I mean, the number one predictor for future injury is past injury. Like if you injured your hamstring in the past,
Yes.
you probably going to be more susceptible to a hamstring injury in the
Shoulder,
future.
hamstring. Yeah.
That's the amazing thing about Gregory, though. It just seems like every single different body part comes through. Like this wrist injury really isn't tied to anything. It's not tied into the shoulder surgery. It's not tied into him, falling apart trying to slide into second base. It's just, it feels like everything has at one point been hurt for Gregory Polanco. And that's, I don't even know what to say besides that, other than this guy is just 6'6". I believe there's a lot of body for him to get hurt.
I mean, I go back to last spring when a week before the season, he tests positive for COVID-19. And it's just kind of like, of course it's him, and like he took it seriously and there's nothing he could have done to stop it. But it's just like, if there's going to be something bad that happens to a Pittsburgh Pirate, it's going to be Gregory Polanco. And that's not to excuse, I mean, the injuries aside, he's significantly regressed as a player. And that's just a whole another issue. I mean, I guess they might have played a little bit of a role in that, but like things like this, like breaking your wrist, like not knowing how to slide and just taking your shoulder completely off your body, essentially pulling your hamstring like 3 times in a week. It's just unreal how unlucky this guy has been. And my question to you, Alex, is if he isn't ready for spring training, which again, they're saying he will be, is it even worth it? If he comes in, he's saying, I'm still hurt, I can't, or should they just cut ties with this guy in spring training if he's not 100%?
It's not going to be in spring training. They have been very clear that this guy has the right field position, even though they're saying it's a meritocracy. And I don't really know what Gregory Polanco has done to establish himself in a meritocracy.
Yeah.
But no, they'll pick up some outfielder between now and, whenever like spring training games start. And you know what? If Gregory stinks, he'll probably be designated for assignment some point mid-season, and they'll give that playing time to either someone like Oliver or Alfred, or maybe you call up Travis Swaggerty if it's late enough in the year. But no, he is going to be on the opening day roster. No one is in their right mind would trade for him. And right now, they're kind of backed into a position that the Pirates' best case scenario with Gregory Polanco is that he comes back and he just rakes for a couple months, and they can flip him to somewhere for a prospect. And that seems far less likely by the day.
Not too long ago, Alex, you and I were debating if Blake Snell, we weren't really debating, we were ranting about Blake Snell being taken out too early in Game 6 of the World Series for the Tampa Bay Rays. And now, if he's going to be taken out too early in a World Series game, it's going to be pitching for the National League. Because earlier this week, Blake Snell was traded to the San Diego Padres. A World Series team trades away their Cy Young pitcher in the offseason, something we really don't see that often in baseball unless it's from a team called the Tampa Bay Rays. I want to get your first thoughts on this move. It's clearly the biggest move of the offseason.
Yeah, and it's not only the Rays now lose Blake Snell. They lost Charlie Morton earlier, so their big three is now just Tyler Glasnow, who really isn't coming off of that stellar season.
No, he's the third best out of that trio.
Yeah, and now he's going to be their ace. So Tampa Bay seriously just won a pennant, and they might peace out from there. Like, yeah, we're going back into we'll win 88 games and win a wild card. That mentality. But my takeaway is so many times I have seen people say they want the Pirates to operate like the Rays. Pirates front office or Travis Williams has said, we could succeed with our budget. Look at the Rays. This is just how the Rays operate. And this sucks if you're a fan of the Tampa Bay Rays. And, we saw that image, circulating on Christmas morning about the kid who got the Josh Bell jersey. And it's like, well, that stinks. There are kids in Tampa Bay that got Blake Snell jerseys that are absolutely worthless now. So that's what stinks from the small market perspective. is if you want to be successful, you have to be so unbelievably cutthroat and ruthless to win that not only does it stink for assembling a team, it stinks for fans. Like, yeah, it's good that you win, but how are you going to draw people whenever you don't know anybody?
And at the same time, I think the Pirates have made these deals. They have traded away Andrew McCutchen. They have traded away Garrett Cole. They just traded away Josh Bell. Those are probably the three most popular players they've had in the last decade. You throw Marte in there. That's another big one. And the reason the Rays have been able to be successful is they rarely miss on their trades. And they pick the right time to get rid of guys, even if it's not the most popular decision. Like you said, they treat this like a cutthroat business. They approach this with no pulse at all. Where I'm confident when the Pirates make these deals, they're like, oh, people are going to be pissed about this one. The Rays were like, we don't care. We'll trade away a Cy Young. Guess what? We got 4 prospects from probably the second best farm system in all of baseball. And guess where they're heading? To the best farm system in all of baseball. And, we don't have any starting pitching, but, we don't really need it because we clearly don't value it when our chips are on the table anyway. So, I mean, they have a plan. It's clear. And their plan isn't to rebuild, I don't think. Even though you're seeing Kiermaier on the trading block, who has been, before Snell, the face of that franchise. He's the most tenured player on that roster. He's been the guy who, when they did stink, was the only reason that fans showed up. He was there, all the way to the pennant run. But he's going to be gone this offseason too. But the thing is, the way they develop and the way they grade talent and add talent and mix and match, I'm still not counting them out. I don't know. Especially in a weird year like 2021 is going to be for baseball, where all of these random trades and signings and who knows what teams are really going to look like come March and April. I don't know. Who's to say they don't add starting pitching in another trade?